faithful, the Mayor of the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead, I bring you greetings. To the north, we have the Thames, where you can enjoy boat trips and riverside walks. To the south, we have a great park with 5,000 acres of glorious Berkshire countryside to explore. And between the two, our town centre has first-class shops and restaurants and one of the world's greatest visitor attractions, Windsor Castle. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you decide to do, enjoy your day here in beautiful, historic Windsor. And God save the Queen!
Hello, and welcome to the second most famous building in Windsor. This is the Guildhall, where the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall, Prince Charles and Camilla, were married in 2005. Now we're downstairs in the room that houses our local history museum. And this was opened by Her Majesty the Queen in 2011. But although we're proud of our royal connections, our museum has a different focus, looking beyond the castle walls. We work with local schools, history groups, youth groups and individuals, trying to discover the stories of the amazing lives lived by ordinary people in our area over the last 1,000 years or so. Thanks to the Heritage Lottery Fund, our Beyond the Castle Walls project has engaged with almost 10,000 people of all nationalities and ages, and we've done a lot. We've created courtroom trials here for secondary school pupils. There were 2 community art projects which were inspired by items in the Royal Collection. We created a virtual tour of the Guildhall, running on touchscreens here in the museum and at other sites around the borough. We've run lots and lots of school holiday activities for people of all ages. And there have been 6 large-scale events looking back at key decades in the last 100 years. We've interviewed and recorded 50 local people for an oral history project, exploring people's memories of how the Royal Borough has changed over their lifetimes. All of this and more has happened due to the tireless work of almost 100 volunteers who've given up their time and energy to make it all happen. So why not see for yourself what lies beyond the castle walls? Not long after the Beyond the Castle Walls project started with a Victorian Christmas celebration at the Guildhall, a decade referred to as the Jazz Age, a time known for the evolution of the flapper, the Charleston dance and the beginning of the Art Deco movement, the 1920s were remembered in style at the Windsor and Royal Borough Museum. The event, A Taste of the 20s, featured a fantastic variety of activities, such as the chance to make your own 1920s style fascinators, top hats, and jumping jack toys to take home. Outside on the Corn Exchange saw the Gershwin Gang setting a lively atmosphere with 1920s style music being performed throughout the day. Free food and drink were on offer too, with cakes made from popular recipes of the time and non-alcoholic cocktails being served throughout the event.
Moonlight music, love romance. Moonlight music, love romance. Moonlight music, love romance. Let's dance.
beyond the castle walls story was a make do and mend 1940s day. With swing music being one of the most popular genres of music during wartime, one of the highlights of the afternoon was a 1940s dance workshop led by swing group The Attic Cats, taking place on the Corn Exchange. Inspired by past Windsor resident Sir Sidney Cam, event-goers could make their own model Hawker Hurricane fighter aeroplanes, as well as being able to watch a film about the local floods that affected Windsor and the surrounding areas back in 1947. Here we find out about how the Second World War impacted on the lives of the local community and what life was really like during these testing times.
I remember several occasions when there were reports of bombs being dropped in the park. I also remember one bomb that very nearly hit, I think, the central station, and there was a gasometer over by platform 2, which is on the left of the platforms as you look at them now. It isn't there any longer. And I remember a set of bogey wheels from the goods yard, which was on the right-hand side, had been blown into the gasometer and was stuck there, just set in it.
My granddad had an allotment further down the road near the council, what we would now call the recycling depot, but the council dumped basically the yard. There was some big area of allotments there. Anyway, one day this V1 Dougalbug came over and hit the recycling site. And it happened that my granddad was on his allotment at the time. So Gran apparently heard this bang, so she ran out of the shop and saw this big cloud of smoke and stuff going up. So she locked the shop and went down the road. And there's my granddad coming the other way. And from a distance, it looked like he was absolutely covered in blood. It was bright red. What it was brick dust. It was a very hot day and he'd been sweating digging his garden, digging his allotment. And this thing had gone off, thrown him down on the floor. The blast had knocked him on the floor. But as he lay there with all sort of being sweaty, all this brick dust came down and of course stuck to him. "Are you hurt? Look at me, it's not blood, I'm all right, you know." So she turned around and said, "If you'd have got home, come back in line you said you were going to in time for your dinner, it wouldn't have happened, would it?" So my poor old granddad got this sort of shellacking from a gran for being late for his dinner and really getting blown up with a V1. I thought that was wonderful. That was typical of my nan, actually.
Hot on the heels of our successful 1940s day came our swinging 60s event. Passers-by could enjoy a range of 1960s style cake, coffee and milkshakes, while reading up about historical facts and individuals who helped shape such a defining era. Later that evening, the Zoots played classic rock songs from the 60s as we paid tribute to Windsor's world-famous Ricky Tick Club. This was a highly influential nightclub that hosted acts such as the Rolling Stones, Pink Floyd, The Who and Jimi Hendrix during its heyday.
I used to go to the famous the Ricky Tick Club at the old Star and Garter and the infamous cellar down by the river, and watch bands like the Rolling Stones and people like Eric Clapton and The Who and all the old blues guys like Alexis Corner and all playing there. Wonderful place to go. The atmosphere there was tremendous because it was small, hot, sweaty and noisy, and it was great. It was absolutely wonderful.
The club standing in the music industry at the time didn't end there though. The Ricky Tick also helped pave the way for Motown to become hugely popular in the UK, with the likes of Stevie Wonder, the Supremes and even the Temptations all appearing in Windsor. the final single-decade themed event to take place at the Guildhall, Bring Back the 80s celebrated fashion, music and technology. Visitors had the opportunity to perform power ballad karaoke and play classic computer games on the Corn Exchange. There was badge making inside the museum, and visitors put themselves to the test by taking a Rubik's Cube time trial challenge. Once again proving to be an entertainment hotspot, the Blazers nightclub in 1980s Windsor was once the place to be, with acts like Sir Cliff Richard and Shirley Bassey frequently performing to sell-out crowds of over 1,000 people. The golden days of Blazers nightclub were fondly remembered during our 1980s event. White Waltham Airfield was to be the penultimate stop on the Beyond the Castle Walls journey. With 2014 marking the centenary of the start of World War I, this was a chance for the Windsor and Royal Borough Museum to link with the national and international commemorations and celebrate the borough's place in the history of the First World War, and also its place in aviation history. Visitors to the airfield got to enjoy poetry written by local aspiring poets and also a brilliant musical performance from the Spencer Denny Centre and Windsor Youth Club.
Radio plays, echoing words, fortunes rise and fortunes fall. Nobly positioned, but you don't know where you are. Travelling is easy, we can now go where we are. Families at fingertips, information flows. Nothing is a secret now, 'cause everybody knows. Put on the radio, play that tune again, rewinding back the history into past events. We hear the news being spoken, we hear the blues being played, showing no emotion, but deep down we are afraid.
The completion of our Heritage Lottery-funded project took place at Windsor's Town Centre at Bachelor's Acre, culminating in a vibrant celebration and remembrance of the Royal Borough throughout all the past decades. An action-packed day saw visitors making badges, fabric flowers and postcards of memories of the borough, set against a backdrop of popular music from throughout the ages, performed once again by the Zoots. With crowds still present at the event into the late afternoon, Beyond the Castle Walls a Century proved to be a memorable finale to what was a fascinating journey into the past, both locally and afar. Above all of that, it was a lot of fun.